This is Mike Bustamante, and this here's Dave Kidder. On today's episode, we're going to go over a tool. We're going to show you how it works, about if you're flipping a home, the profit that you might be making off of it, and a couple things you need to be thinking about while you're doing a flip home. Dave, you want to go over this a little bit?
Yeah, I do, and I just want to, at the end of the webinar, we're going to put a link where if you want this spreadsheet for yourself, we'll give you a link. We'll send it to you. It's not proprietary. It's not easy to use. There's some quirkiness in it. So once you get it, you may want to call back, and we can go over it on some of the things that you need to know and how to use the thing. But anyway, it's a great tool. Again, if you have a property you're thinking of investing in, this breaks it down to tell you if it's a good deal, a bad deal, or a marginal deal. At least at the end, it'll show you how much money you're going to be making on this flip. Maybe give you the confidence to go ahead or the confidence to say no to something. Anyway, so this was actually developed by a company that did flipping, and they have since gone out of business. Not because they weren't making money, it's just because they, I'm going to say, they didn't react to the market. They kept trying to make the same amount of profits, and they ended up not buying any property. So, again, this is a great way to analyze a tool, but don't get married to the tool, and don't get married to a model that keeps you from actually making money. So, on this first page, and it says, basically, it's the questionnaire. And we're going to go through, and it does want us to fill out all the information. So the name, your addresses of property I analyzed last week made great sense. We weren't quick enough, though, and that's the other side of it. Find something you need to move on. You need to move on it and not, I want to say, you don't have to vote on it. You just have to know what you're doing and have confidence you're going to make money and react on it. So we need, so down the side, it asks a series of questions. The property, who's involved in it. And I'm assuming that you're going to be working with a realtor, finding the property, but also using the realtor when you sell it. And if you don't know these numbers, that's where Mike and I are here to help you. So, like typical days on the market, and why that's important is we want to know our holding costs. If we're going to buy a property, and we know how much money interest we're paying on it, we want to know how much is that money going to cost us if we tie up a property with it.
Correct.
So that's important. The seller concessions, I put in 3%. That seems to be kind of standard right now. That goes up and down, and again, we can help you with it. I put a full 6% commission in there. Again, commissions are always negotiable. I also want to be on the high side, and if we can negotiate something down from that, then you make even more money. Some of the costs, I think, are self-explanatory here. So as I go through, I mean, Mike, you raise a great point. I'm charging 6% commission in here. Remember, I'm looking at what my costs are when I buy the property and what it's going to cost me to sell the property. So I want to be on the high side on my selling cost. I don't think we have to take a discount. If we price it right, it should sell right away. Okay. And yet, markets, they can shift. So I want to be a little on the high side on all my costs going in. Okay. So that if we don't have to spend all that money, we have even more profit on the other side.
Right. All right. Good.
So as I scroll down here again, the form wants every blank answered. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to go ahead and just put 0. So one of the things is the property that I looked at last week, it had it as poor condition, and it was. It was pretty ratty shape. Okay. This is one of the quirkinesses here. It asks what area or what zip code we're in. So I have 935, or in this case, the closest zip code that I could find in a neighborhood that was comparable to Fresno was 93510, which is just outside of Palmdale.
Right.
So prices are about the same, cost of living is about the same, but it's not Fresno. And the problem with the spreadsheet I have, and when I get around to it, I want to redo this, is you have to pick the zip code or the first 3 numbers of your zip code out of the pull down. And as you can see, it goes from 935 and it jumps down here to 945. So it completely misses the Central Valley.
It does.
I don't know. I mean, ugly stepchild for flippers, I guess, which is why we have money to make in this part of town, because we're ignored again and again and again. We're ignored, and I'm okay with that. So what it did when I pulled that, it says, what is my investment factor? What is my cost of living factor, basically? So if I'm in Fresno and my cost of living compared to the rest of the country is the same as the rest of the country, then I want to be as close to 1 as I possibly can. And something I found is that Fresno, even though we're in California, we're as close to the national average in so many ways. It's ridiculous. So our cost of living is comparable to almost any other large city anywhere else in the country. And if I were to get into San Francisco, my cost of living would be closer to 2.
Okay.
It's that much. It's that much more. So again, we want to go back to, if you live in San Francisco and you want to invest in Fresno, you give yourself about 100% raise in pay and potential making money.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you have a San Francisco address and you want to make money, sell it and come to Fresno.
Right.
Okay, that's my last commercial there. So as I scroll on down here, whenever possible, it's going to ask me to do the pull down. It doesn't like me typing in numbers. If there's got the little caret on the side of the little pull down, just use that and get. So I want to have the square footage, which I have on this home that we analyzed. How many floors was it? It was 1 floor. There's no basement. I put if there's no basement, then we put non-applicable. So anything that has to do with the basement is going to be a no. On the in the case of this property, the lot size they wanted in a percentage of acreage. So in this case, it was 1/4 of an acre.
Okay.
So if you're not sure how many, if you get something that says a 7,500 square foot lot, and you're not sure how to convert 7,500 into how much of a lot that is, just write this number down, because you're going to want to remember this for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
An acre has 43,560 square feet.
Okay.
So 1/4 of an acre would be about 10,000 square feet.
All right.
So it's a good sized lot.
Yeah.
So it's single family. It's detached. It was built in 1994. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and the garage was attached to the house. It's 2 bedroom. So I don't have to go through each and every one. Again, it wants all that information.
Right. Okay.
Now here is one that can be a little bit confusing, and this is an appraiser terminology. The home, if it says, is it conforming? All that means is, does the house match up to all the other homes in the area?
So
in this
it's
case,
not an oddity or anything?
Yeah. So in this case, all the other homes around it were 3 bedroom. They had all been built around the same time. They all had an attached garage. Very few of them had a pool. This house didn't stand out from the outside, except that it was in poor condition, but it matched the rest of the house.
Okay.
And just a point of caution, I want to stay away from homes that don't match the neighborhood. So if all the other homes in a neighborhood are single story and the home you're looking at is 2-story, you may have problems selling that home.
Yes.
And you may have problems getting an appraisal on that home.
That's correct.
So
it's an oddity.
It's an oddity.
Yeah.
But just
yes, not always the best deal either.
It's funny, you said oddity, and I started thinking of people's names. So
Okay.
Sorry. That's
Mr. Oddity, yes.
Okay. The home doesn't have a pool. And here's, I would have a tendency to stay away from flips that have a pool. That if the pool needs a lot of repair. And here's why. A pool, the best pool, or the pools that are in the best condition, only really raise the price of your home by $8,000 to $12,000. So if I find a pool that needs extensive repairs, and it's going to cost me $15,000 to repair that pool and get it back up into shape, the most I'm going to make on it is $8,000.
Yeah, so it'd be a losing proposition.
So if you can find something that doesn't have a pool, or find something where the pool's in good shape, then go ahead, because it does bring value. But if you got to dump a bunch of money in a pool, run away. And especially if you're going to hold on to that pool or that home for a rental, run away.
Yeah.
Just run away.
I mean, otherwise, you're just going to have to get a permit and about $7,000 to get it filled in and okayed by the city.
And then you also have insurance. Rental with a pool. Good night, Irene.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if it did have a pool, of course, you'd have numbers that you would put in there to estimate. If it does have a pool that's in bad shape, you might just look at what's the cost of filling the thing in and being done.
Right.
So as we move through here, again, I don't really want to sit on it. The home that we were looking at definitely needed an HVAC, heating and air conditioning unit on the roof, and there's going to run $7,000-8,000. And then if you get into ducting and everything,
yeah, there's
it's a major cost. So make sure if the house that you're looking at flipping has a working AC, you're money ahead right there.
oh, definitely. Yeah, and there's no cost. I mean, there's no definite price you're going to get for putting in ducting either, because of the city and their permitting, and they want to make sure they get enough airflow per room. So that's pretty much an open check you're going to be handing out.
It is. And HVACs, air conditioning and heating, are kind of like kitchens. Every home should have one.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you put a brand new one in doesn't mean that you raise the price of the house.
Right.
Because it's assumed you're going to have one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another one of those, you may have to repair it, but you're not going to get your money back out.
Yeah, and another thing to watch out for is don't be putting on an AC unit that's more than the house actually needs, because you'll end up running high on electricity because that unit's going to keep shutting on and off so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So let's move on through here. I don't want to spend the entire time. There's bedrooms. It does get into flooring. So if the home that you're looking at does need flooring, it gives you kind of an estimate. And I having put in flooring in our house, I feel like these numbers are maybe a little bit on the low side.
Mm-hmm.
But we also didn't shop around. We just went to, a place we knew would do the work. We didn't have to worry about it.
Right.
We got it done. But if you have guys that are working for you, you might be able to do these at these prices. But I would pad these numbers a little bit, or at least be aware that these numbers might be a little bit low.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, especially if you're a flipper that flips all the time. Pretty soon you're going to be knowing where to go, and you'll have your team working for you. So your profit may go up, and your cost may go down.
Yeah, and roofing's the same thing. If you've got a good roofer that's in your pocket that you're working with all the time, you can save a lot of money there and keep him busy, and they're happy to do the work if they're not having to. How do I say this? If they're not building brand new homes, then the quality of the roof doesn't necessarily have to be like over the top nice. They can come in and do an affordable roof,
Right.
And add value to your home.
Yeah, definitely on the flip.
Yeah. Where I think a lot of people get into trouble is electrical work. If you have major reworking, if you have to bring in a new box. Thank you. Yeah, the box.
That thing on the outside of the house.
Service. Thank you. Yeah, a new box. It could get expensive.
Oh,
so
very much so.
having an electrician that you can count on, at least if you can give them a good description and they can give you a kind of an estimate, not even have to come out to the house, but you know that they're reliable. That an electrician and plumber are probably the two that you want to have.
Oh, yeah.
Be really nice too.
Yeah, because those costs can go majorly quick, really high.
So what I did was I threw as much stuff in here because I did not want to be on the low side. When I get down to the bottom of the page, I filled in all the yellow blanks to the best of my knowledge. And then I'm going to switch over now to initial analysis of the home. So in this case, with this house, so I have it shows me with a profit of what, 8%?
Right about 8%.
Which would be $14,000. And in the use of this spreadsheet, the company would have said this was not a deal that they would want to go on. That they would not even want to roll anybody at only $14,000 profit. They had not only a percentage profit, but they also had a dollar amount that they wanted to make on every deal.
Oh, I see.
Now, if this is my first flip and I feel like I've been high on all my costs and there's a lot of things I can do myself, $14,000 for about 2 months worth of work may be something that some people would say, yeah, I want that.
Right.
But at least now I have a real clear idea of what this. And the nice thing on this sheet is it not only gives us that, it gives us my purchase price, it gives me my cost of sales down here, and the cost of sales are going to include commissions, but also any carrying costs that I might have, and I think it's built in here, estimated time on the market. Total holding costs of $3,200, that's the cost of my money.
Okay.
That's how much my money is, it's going to cost me to tie up in this property.
Gotcha.
Most people don't take that into consideration.
Yes, and it is something to consider. I mean, you're holding your money up, so you can't be using it for something else.
Exactly, and maybe another deal that comes along where you can make the $20,000, but now you can't because your money's tied up.
Right.
Tied up here. So this is a good way to take a look at it. Again, it gives me red flags over on the other side on property condition of being poor, and I had something marked on there on water intrusion, which would be any kind of flooding or any kind of broken pipes or anything like that.
Okay.
This system would automatically flag it and say we're not even interested in it. And there's a good reason, because once a house has any kind of a flooding or insurance claim because of broken pipes, that report stays with it forever.
Yes.
So it's important when I buy a property to check out to see if there were any insurance claims against the house, because it comes into a mold issue.
Yes, it can.
That never
Definitely.
goes away.
Right.
Anyway, so on this house, it gives me my profit margin here. This is an annualized percentage rate, and what that means is I buy this house, I fix it up, I flip it, and I take that money and I invest in another one. At this rate, it would bring me about 18% return on my money a year if I could flip it, two and a half times during the year.
Nice.
So, is 18% that bad of a return?
Not really.
No,
Not really.
No, but it's maybe not as good as what I think. If we watch HDTV or something, they're convincing us that you're going to make $100,000 on every house because you paint it.
Yes, wouldn't that be nice?
That ain't the case.
No.
And then here's actually, and what's nice here is this gives me a complete breakdown of my repair estimates.
Okay.
And if I'm going through this, maybe I sit down with a contractor, a handyman, I go through these numbers, and they're saying, well, you're low here, high here.
Right.
You know, maybe I can go back through with an example and get a little bit better idea what my costs are. So I want to go back here. I want to do one little thing, because I like playing with the numbers, and I like to see what happens with different things. If I know the property that I'm buying is in a really hot area and it's not going to take me 47 days to sell it, if homes are selling almost immediately, just that one little change raises how much money I'm going to make here and how much money I'm going to make there.
Nice.
So again, knowing the market, knowing where the house that I'm buying it at could make a big difference, just by the days on market.
Right. And that is where an agent would come in, having the latest up-to-date numbers for you, so you can actually see what's going on in the area.
Yeah.
Because you could always drive around and talk to the neighbors, but it's going to take too long, and you're probably not going to get the most accurate numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. So here, I kind of highlighted some of the things that maybe I don't need to do. So, what's this? So if I were to find a house that actually had a good water heater, so I made two changes. One, the house that I'm buying has a decent water heater, and there's not a lot of organic matter around the house, meaning things against the house or stuff up on the roof. It had a $1,500 estimate for removing that thing. Well, I know I can hire my kids.
Well, yeah, you can.
I'm paying them to work $15 an hour, and 4 hours later we're done. So there's some things that I can go through here and go, okay, this estimate is high, and yet, again, the end result is it makes a huge difference.
Wow. $17,000
now in this house by just evaluating some of the things I'm working on. Again, if you want a copy of this, again, at the end, send Mike or I an email. Our contact information will be at the end of the video.
Yes. Yes.
And again, or reach out or leave a post here on this, and we'll get back to you here.
Yeah.
But again, it's Mike Bustamante and Dave Kidder, Keller Williams, and we're here to help you make money in investment. Hope this has helped. If you have any other questions or would like us to do a video on something else,
Yeah. Let us know. Yeah, definitely like to help out.
Let Mike know.
Let Mike know. Okay, call me.
Call Mike, call me. Anyway, thanks for joining again, Mike and Dave. We're out of here. Thanks.
See ya.